Join the yelling. You know what? And you know what, men? Fucking get used to it. I'm gonna scream in your goddamn face if I want to about this shit. You know what I mean? I'm lovely to date. I think people really see it now.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
I'm fucking starving. I've been working all day.
Well, are pretzels nobody's ever died of pretzel poisoning?
It says May 6, 24.
I consider pretzels a dry good. Like if you lived in Little House on the Prairie, Pa would get on his horse and go into town, take a couple days on horseback to fetch you pretzels. And you'd be okay.
I'm not gonna lie. It's certainly a dry good. These are, I don't know about this, but.
Oh my gosh. I don't blame you for, I am just recovering from a little bout of food poisoning. And
from where?
From a restaurant.
Name names. Name. No, I'm kidding.
I love the restaurant. I feel so terrible that I got food poisoning from there because now I don't know if I'll be able to go back is the thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it's okay. It was during my weekend in Minneapolis, so it's not like, it's not one of my regular spots.
I cannot wait to hear about it. But we have our guest joining us first.
Yes.
Which is exciting.
Yes.
So we can't really get into it.
We can't get deep into it, but yes, I did go to my weekend at the Purple Rain House.
My mic was up very sorry. I was like, why am I hearing like my breath? I'm not that close to my breath.
Oh my God.
Guys, I'm a little bit on one because I was doing what's known as a media day today for the ADHD medication that I have been working with and using.
Yes.
They don't advertise on our podcast, so until they do, they're not getting a shout out. Sorry.
We got to do what we got to do.
Honey, this is a money-making operation.
Oh
Nothing for charity.
We're trying.
Wait, why am I not on camera?
I don't know. I thought it was like just a choice that you were making today to not be on camera.
No, I look gorgeous. I have my makeup done by Kendra. Matthew did my hair.
There you are. Oh, we both have black and white stripes on.
Oh my God, we do!
Little Hamburglar vibes today.
Well, I was wearing a very low-cut cleavagey top, and I, trying to get, I need a glass of wine, guys. We're doing the podcast late in the day here for me.
Because you were working.
Lunchtime for Case.
Yeah.
Because I was working doing my media day.
Yeah. Nobody's here in the house to get the dogs to be quiet. And so they're already barking. And I feel...
I can't hear them.
Okay, good.
But I can hear these stale pretzels.
I think those were in the cabinet when I was there. I'll bring you new pretzels when I come again soon.
These are the pretzels that my grandma always had in her house in a glass jar with a lid on it.
Yeah.
Pretzel rods.
Yes.
I used to pretend that they were cigars.
Of course. Here's a fun fact about me. I don't really like pretzels that much. I feel like it's practically un-American and un-German. Not that I'm German, to not like a pretzel. But
are you German?
No, but I mean, pretzels are German.
Right, but if you're not German, it's not like, you know what I mean? You're not turning on your people.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want to offend any German.
I don't know. My dad might be offended if he hears this.
Exactly. And,
not German, just a pretzel guy.
Pretzels, if pretzels are your personality or your culture, I don't want to upset you.
My dad's culture is kind of pretzels.
I like a little
pretzels and Diet Coke.
Oh, there you go. That's a good personality. I like it. It's achievable and approachable. I like a little Mr. Salty pretzel. Like that, if I had to pick a pretzel, I like a little skinny pretzel stick.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know Mr. Salty? Oh my God. This is showing the difference in our age. Mr. Salty was like the mascot for these little pretzels that came in like a tiny cardboard snack pack when I was a little kid. And they're like little skinny salty pretzel sticks. And he's like a sailor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
like
smoker?
Mr. Peanut's friend, probably. They probably hang out.
Wait, did you say he's a smoker?
No, a sailor. Oh. A sailor. I don't know if he smokes.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Mr. Peanut's friend.
I'm like, that Mr. Salty, Mr. Peanut, the Morton Salt girl, they're all hanging out together somewhere in
100%.
Another dimension. Little Debbie probably comes by. She's like a big celebrity in that crowd.
Mrs. Butterworth?
Mrs. Butterworth is my favorite. Did you have Mrs. Butterworth when you were a little kid?
But remember when Mrs. Butterworth like went on Ozempic or whatever?
Oh my God. And she's like skinnier. I cannot tell you. Mrs. Butterworth is really like, I considered myself a pretty savvy kid and I knew the difference between like reality and make-believe, but I can't tell you how many hours I sat waiting for Mrs. Butterworth to like come to life.
Oh, 100%.
And dispense some fake maple syrup wisdom to me.
And also just some care and love.
Yeah.
just some grandmotherly affection.
I don't like when they slimmed her down. I like the big bosomy Mrs. Butterworth. Like,
no, you want to cuddle into the bosom.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh my God.
Well, listen, and on that note, I don't know why. Now, hi. Really dead. Jessica Valenti, journalist extraordinaire who has dedicated every single day of her life since the Dobbs decision of 2022.
Oh my God.
June 24th, 2022. To recording what is happening and the mess of this country. As Donald Trump would say, it went back to the States. Whatever. This fucking guy. Her very vital reporting is available for you via Substack, and it's called Abortion Every Day. And she quite literally writes about abortion every day. And now has a book that is out next week, October
1st, soon.
October 1st. So
congratulations.
Soon. Called Abortion,
Thank you.
Our Bodies, Their Lies, and the Truths We Use to Win. Jessica Valenti is a hero, and I think deserves the fucking Pulitzer Prize.
Thank you for being here. This isn't the Pulitzer Prize, but you know.
It's my Pulitzer Prize. This is
outrageous.
The next best thing.
I just, before I hopped on here, I had been working all day and then I opened Instagram because I hadn't checked it in a minute. And the account, A Girl Has No President, posted a thing that I just want to start with, which is that a woman who's running for state Congress something. And the conservative radio host says, well, it was even brought up in the debate. Well, hold on, Renee. Even brought up in the debate, there are cases of babies being murdered after they were born.
I can't.
I know. He goes, I guess it's a botched abortion. I guess is what it is. Are you aware that this is happening? She takes what can only be described as the most disgusted pause of all time and responds, I genuinely don't even know what you're asking. It's so absurd.
It's so absurd. It's so upsetting.
So I want to talk about this because, and it's it's Miriam for Congress. She's running for Andy Ogle's seat in Congress. I don't even know where this is, lady. We need more information on your page. You know what I mean? Let's go to the landing page and make it Tennessee. Honey, she's in Tennessee. All right. All right, Miriam. We want to join your fight. So can we talk about this? Because we talked about this the other day at your book luncheon, and I really feel like we need to talk about this.
Yeah, it's really distressing because not only is it their new go-to talking point, it does seem like people are really believing it. Like you will see multiple interviews of people saying, "Oh yeah, did you know in California, like 6 days after birth, you can have an abortion?" Like none of these words make sense. It's so infuriating. And I actually just wrote a column today about, in part, where this came from, because I think people think of it as like one of these crazy Trump being Trump, just like saying anything, wild off the cuff. But someone sent me a document showing that Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America actually came up with this talking point, fed it to him, in this specific way. In other words, they're behind it, right? This is not like some rando Trump line. This is a message from a multi-million-dollar powerful national anti-abortion organization, because they know that the misinformation works.
Right. And that he's the perfect candidate because he has no discernment. He has he just runs with it. Like we were just talking about a recent revelation where people sort of figured out that the reason he keeps talking about Hannibal Lecter is because he's deeply confused about what asylum means. He doesn't know the difference between insane asylum from a movie and political asylum being sought by immigrants. And so he's running with the Hannibal Lecter, like he thinks that's like a really great thing. So you can just tell him any old thing. You can tell him any old thing.
That's exactly right. I mean, this is a group also that like really tries to position itself as mainstream and credible. Like they're like, the DC elite. And so
we're giving you the facts is what they're, they think they're giving you the facts, or they don't think.
Exactly.
They're positioning it as such.
They're positioning it. And so they have this like perfect mouthpiece where they can just feed the most wild, outrageous lies that they know that they can't say themselves to like a New York Times reporter because no one is going to quote that. And so they just have him do it. And like you and I were talking about the other day, like part of what makes this so incredibly cruel is that they're talking about like palliative care for newborns. Like this is not just like out of nowhere, right? Like they are talking about the fact that in certain states, parents, when a newborn has a fatal illness, can make the decision, we don't want to do extreme life-saving measures. We don't want our child who's going to die to have these painful, invasive medical interventions. We just want to be with them for the last few minutes without all of that. That's what they're calling post-birth abortions. Like that's their excuse for it. And too many people don't know that. And it just makes it 100,000 times worse.
Right. And before we go too far down the road of the discussion, can we take a second just to clarify for people why a newborn might need, what are some of the reasons a newborn might need palliative care? What are some of the conditions that babies are sometimes born with that would require palliative care?
There's so many, unfortunately. It could be because they are extraordinarily premature and they are not going to be able to live. It could be any number of fatal fetal abnormalities. And unfortunately, because of abortion bans, we're seeing a lot more of these cases, right? A lot more folks who would have been able to end their pregnancies are being forced to carry these non-viable pregnancies to term, and then are put in the position of, having to watch their children die, which is like even talking about it, saying the words just feels so surreal, and insane. But
like I've read recently about babies born without kidneys, that
correct.
abnormality, babies born with part or most or all of their brain missing. It's not
or skull.
It's not
It's like-
not compatible, with life.
No, not compatible at all. I spoke to a young woman in Texas who I think was 21 at the time. She was denied an abortion even though she found out her baby did not develop at all above the neck. There was no head. There was nothing there.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, I know. It's so horrible. And I always feel so bad to say these things because it is, I feel like everything I say should come with a trigger warning. It's so awful. But she had this pro-life OBGYN who tried to convince her.
You missed it, guys, because this is a podcast, but Jessica did do air quotes.
The air quotes, I promise. She told her it would benefit you to carry to term, that it would be emotionally good for you. And this poor young woman, again, 21 years old, felt so guilty and was saying to me, you know, I feel really bad. It's not that I didn't want the pregnancy. I didn't think that I could handle, you know, seeing something without a head. And you're like, of course you couldn't, because that's bananas.
Cruel.
Like that's an outrageous, cruel, torturous thing to ask of anyone. And yet they're behaving as if this is normal and our job to do.
And our job to do as women. Right. Correct.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really struggle with how, you know, Jessica, it like occurred to me after our lunch. You know, I was sitting in between you and Amanda Zarowski, and I was thinking about Amanda. I was thinking about myself, obviously, because I'm always thinking about myself. And no, I'm kidding. But I mean, kind of. But I was thinking about how, you know, I talked about my abortion, and now here we are, 6 years later, and I'm still talking about this thing that happened to me when I was 15 years old, this abortion that I had when I was 15 years old. I wrote about it in my book in detail, that it wasn't, for me, it was very complicated and not easy because I was a kid and I was struggling with like a lot of religious ideology that had been put on me from childhood, and a really horrible situation with the guy who knocked me up and his family. And it was really complicated for me. But here I am, and I'm a full adult who's had so many years and so much therapy and wrote about it in my book and processed it and all this shit. And I'm still talking about this. And it's fucking hard sometimes. Sometimes I'm like really overwhelmed with the emotional fucking flogging that I feel after I do this shit. And I'm sitting next to this woman who literally almost died like a year ago. And now is standing up day after day after day after day and being called a liar, that didn't happen, that what she's describing is medically impossible. And these women that are, when Oprah said that thing at the DNC, that these are the new freedom fighters, the men and women who are like coming forward and talking about what is happening, it was not lost on me, because the emotional toll that it takes is unbearable. I can't even imagine. They haven't even had time to process it. And they're out there.
It's excruciating.
Because they don't want anyone else to be going through this. And for you, you need a vacation, girl. What's happening? Are you okay? I'm not kidding.
I mean, no, of course not, right? Like, I don't think anyone who does this work is okay. It's horrible. It's horrible to write about this every day. It's horrible to like hear from people every day, to know that if you don't answer your TikTok DMs, there's like a 17-year-old who's not going to be able to get abortion medication in time, right? Like it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but every single person who is doing this work, I think, is experiencing the same thing. And I think a lot about like how we take care of ourselves, and what you were talking about just how cruel and excruciating it is to have to tell these stories again and again. And the fact that the expectation is that we need to like lay our pain bare constantly in order to be considered fully human, in order to sort of like beg for scraps of humanity, right? It's like, you're just like, please just treat someone who has sepsis. It's like a friend of mine used this word a while ago, and I really think it's the right word. It's humiliating. It feels very humiliating, very dehumanizing to have to beg for someone to see you as a full person. I think that there is something like really existentially damaging about that, you know, whether sharing a story or not.
I feel like it's even more than that. It's like you have to beg to be seen as a human, but even more than that, you're begging to be allowed to treat your own self as a human, to make your own, you know what I mean? Like no one's, okay, I'm going to just give it up. Like no one's ever gonna believe me about something that I'm going through the way I believe myself. I just think that's true. I think time and time again, we see people that don't believe something until it happens to them or the person
100%.
sitting next to them, until they see it with their own two eyes, until it affects them. And up until that point, they're full of judgment about what other people should be allowed to do and what they do. What I'm asking for and what I see women asking for is just for us to treat our own selves like humans. Like you just stay out of it. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to like what I'm saying. You don't have to even hear it or know about it is the thing. But we're asking for autonomy to treat our own selves like people. Like,
yeah, and it's exactly right. And it's so, I think like what makes it doubly hard is that so much of the anti-abortion strategy right now is about, I know gaslighting is an overused word, but it is the correct word. It is about gaslighting women about their own health and lives and safety. And, you know, the fact that people could say to Amanda Zarowski with a straight face, like, that didn't happen. You're lying. You weren't in danger. We saw the same thing with Kate Cox when she came forward saying, no, that fetus didn't have a fatal abnormality. That's not true. It would have lived. You know,
Like,
just
in what world?
Exactly.
I also, though, you know, part of it too for me that I keep returning to as a person who was a child who had an abortion is all of those kids, all of these kids in these states who aren't having, you know, DNC or denied care, and they're going into sepsis and having these like horrific instances, which by the way are definitely like, let's keep talking about it because it really does drive home the fact that this is healthcare and vital healthcare. But like, honestly, again, I'm thinking about 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 12-year-olds in these states who are unable, and the derailment of entire lives and what that's going to do to not just them, but like generationally.
Oh, yeah. And what's so hard too is that, you know, we already know that young people don't have access to care in the same way that other people do. But because of these laws, they're not going to find out later that they're pregnant, right? Because lack of sex education, right? Like the entire system is stacked against them in these states. You don't know anything about your body, so you don't find out you're pregnant. You don't have access to a Planned Parenthood to go take a test. And so maybe you don't find out until you're much later on. And then what do? It's illegal to leave your state. You know, it's just the cruelty really is astounding.
Texas, do they it's Texas, I believe, right? That even to get contraception, like medicine contraception, you have to have parental permission, like the pill?
If it is a federally funded clinic, like they had this court case that said Title 10 clinics, like the federal funding, if you have federal funding, that you can't give minors
birth control
contraception. Yeah, without contraception. I mean, they really are, and I read about this in the book, they really are testing out all of these policies on young people because they're the most marginalized and because they know that politicians are afraid of saying, no, young people need abortion care too, right? They know that that is a difficult spot for Democrats. And so that's why you'll see all of these, like the so-called anti-trafficking laws that say, you know, you can't, if you take a minor out of the state, that's trafficking. Or if you give, if you text a minor a URL to an out-of-state clinic, that is also considered abortion trafficking. Like they are targeting those. Yeah. They're targeting those towards teenagers first so that they can try them out and then put them, you know, towards the rest of us.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah, the trafficking one is the thing that keeps me up at night, because people hear that word and they say, well, isn't it a good idea? Like, you
Right.
shouldn't be
We
able
don't
to
want
take a kid out of
trafficking.
state.
Right.
Yeah, like, look, who likes trafficking? And you shouldn't be able to take a kid out of state without their parents' permission. That sounds reasonable, but the law is actually written in this way. They say it's illegal to recruit, transport, or harbor, and basically it means if you tell a minor about how to get an abortion, that's recruiting, that's abortion trafficking. And they're doing that to like target abortion funds and all of the people who are there to actually help young people in these states. It's super nefarious.
My God.
I know. Sorry. Like I said,
I know.
no one's ever happy to talk to me.
I'm happy to talk to you because I think that the work you're doing is, like I said, I really do think you should win the Pulitzer Prize. I don't really know what the Pulitzer Prize is, but I think that you should win it.
I'll take it.
Right? You take it. The work that you're doing is truly so vital. And like, there are days when, and I said this at the lunch that we were at, I get asked a lot to be on someone's podcast to talk about the state of repro rights in the country and what's happening with the abortion bans and the upcoming election and the 10 states that have abortion on the ballot, and being from Arizona and the law from 1864 and the Comstock law and all these things. And I'm asked this because I'm engaging and because I've been very outspoken about abortion, but I am also not a fucking expert. I mean, maybe I am at this point, but I do know that all of, I have all the talking points from all of the organizations emailed to me, as much as they can. But I do know that before I go on anything, any podcast, or to do any interview where I think they may ask me, I make sure to look at abortion every day, which I subscribe to. And I just would encourage people to subscribe to it because it is power to have the information and to know what is going on in this country. And so when you have your person in your life or somebody who says something like, well, it's just back to the states, which is what it should be, you get to say that is misinformation that is being perpetrated by Donald Trump. And why is it, Jessica? Why is that the new
back to the states? It makes me bananas. It is so deliberate and actually, unfortunately, smart, because they know that abortion is incredibly popular. Abortion bans are incredibly unpopular. And so the ability for them to say, we're leaving it to the will of the people, we're giving it back to the states, the people get to decide, that's a powerful message for them. What they don't mention is that in every one of those states that has a pro-choice ballot measure, Republicans are decimating democracy in order to keep it from voters, right? Like in Missouri, they were sending texts to voters saying, don't sign the pro-choice petition because they're trying to steal your identity. In South Dakota, they had people calling voters who did sign a petition, and they pretended to be from the Secretary of State's office and threatened them to try to get them to take their name off the petition. In some states, they're just removing names from the rolls. So this idea that like you have a choice if you go back to the states is just completely outrageous. And it also, he's doing something really specific where he's trying to make Republican women feel better and buy into the illusion that they have a choice, even with these bans in effect, that they maybe do have some power, which is just not true, right? And we also know, of course, if he's elected, national abortion ban, absolutely. First day, head of the FDA is gone and they're repealing approval of abortion medication. Like, they have laid this out in a really, really clear way, what they want to do.
Well, right. And not to mention the fact that the Comstock Act is still not been repealed. And this would,
repealed.
Right? Not like come into, this would call into question, not just medication abortion, obviously, but also contraception through the mail, also your fucking sex toys through the mail, also your fucking lube through the mail. Anything, guys, anything, and any of it.
All of it. Anything that they can say is obscene, which is
Whatever
hilarious
they
in a way,
want.
but like basically whatever they want. And the contraception is a real danger. Like that's not an exaggeration because they have set this legal groundwork to argue that, emergency contraception and IUDs are actually not birth control at all, but are abortions. And so they already have all of that legal groundwork done for themselves.
It could also apply to books and movies right? We see how creative they've been. It could apply to anything that they want to put that label on.
Anything that they want to censor. That's kind of wild. Guys, I got to tell you something. You know when I am like kind of like on the fence about a product, because I think you can tell. I have become obsessed with this ketone IQ. First of all, I had heard from somebody that I am friends with who is also a listener of the pod that they were told by their neurologist to get this ketone IQ. And that was like kind of the best thing I could have heard. But basically, it's like ketone IQ. It's a shot that you take. I keep it in my fridge. It's a clean shot of energy, no sugar, no caffeine. They also recently launched ketone IQ plus caffeine, which has 5 grams of ketones and 100 milligrams of caffeine from green tea. That tastes good. But basically, ketone IQ it's not a keto diet situation, but they believe that everyone can improve their metabolic health by spending more time with elevated ketones. And ketones, unlike other sources of energy like glucose or fat, ketones are a more efficient fuel that can produce more power and use less oxygen. Metabolism, the body's process of converting food into energy, is vital to our health, and a strong metabolism can help promote all the things: better sleep, control mood, manage weight, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm telling you. When I take the ketone IQ, I take it like a shot. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't taste great. It's a little bit like taking like a shot of medicine. Okay. I do it with like an orange juice or a water chaser. What it does is that I feel like I have like a runner's high. I feel as though I have very laser focused vision. I'm super locked in. I can like do my work. I'm focused. I'm in it. It really feels great. There's no crash. It's not like an energy drink, but it gives me heightened energy and awareness and just like, I feel great. I really do. And I sleep great. So it's like, it's not like at 3 p.m. or something and I take a shot of espresso and then I'm up all night. This works so well. I have become truly, I am like ripping through my cases of ketone IQ. I highly recommend you try it. Truly. They work with professional and Olympic athletes. Okay. I don't know. I just feel like my experience alone should be enough for you to know that it's like, I'm not messing around. This is really, really fantastic. You can save 30% off your first subscription order and receive a free 6-pack of Ketone IQ with ketone.com/busy. So go to ketone.com/busy and try this out. It is so good. It's like you're in a flow state. I'm telling you, you will not regret this. I am very obsessed. Oh, Blue Land, I love you. Do you guys know that laundry detergent pods are also wrapped in plastic? Of course you do. That film around your pods, it's plastic. It's ending up in our oceans. It's ending up in our rivers and our soil. It's killing us. It's killing us. We are eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic a week. A week? There are microplastics everywhere. Listen to me. We got to end the madness. It ends with us. That is why we've been obsessed with Blue Land forever. And truly, I love Blue Land. I return to Blue Land for all of my products. Do not think just because a product advertised when you were growing up and you watched it on TV, that's the only product that will ever work, and that's something that is actually eco-friendly and good for the environment and doesn't use single-use plastic is not going to work. Stop the cycle, guys. It's generational trauma, but it's plastic. Stop it and move to Blue Land. It is time. Also, Blue Land's launching its first of a kind fragrance laundry detergent tablet, Spring Bloom. And after years of extensive research and development, Blue Land has successfully created a fragrance tablet that not only maintains the company's commitment to powerful plastic-free efficiency, but also delivers a delightful scent. It is delightful. I love it. The laundry tablets work great. Blue Land is on that mission. They're going to eliminate single-use plastic. They reinvent cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet, but they do the job. They've got the powerful clean. There is no single-use plastic in any Blue Land component, from the bottles to the tablets to the wrappers to the shipping. Do you hear me? Their tablet packaging is fully compostable. Okay. You can get more savings by buying refills in bulk or setting up a subscription. This is the wave of the future. We have to do it, guys. We cannot continue this single-use plastic nightmare. Okay. I promise you're going to love it, because Blue Land is trusted in over 1 million homes, including literally all of mine, all of them. Also, like, the packaging is chic. You're going to love it. And these products, like, you're spraying them, they're not going to kill you. You know what I mean? They're not killing your pets. They're not choking you. And there's no plastic. So it's not going into the environment and the water and the earth. Blue Land has a special offer for you, our beloved listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/best. You're not going to want to miss it. It's blueland.com/best for 15% off. That's blueland.com/best to get 15% off. I was going to say that they've also started a fairly successful cultural war via TikTok and Reels about the dangers of birth control and misinformation about Plan B and about IUDs. And in fact, I just talked to a young woman who's very liberal and cool, but she was really young. And she was like, so Plan B is like the abortion pill. You can't even get it in some place. And I was like, girl, no, that's, first of all, Plan B is not the abortion pill.
Mm-hmm.
And
75% of Americans think that.
What?
75, yeah. A huge number of Americans do not know the difference between the morning after pill and abortion medication. And that is why they are starting target, that is their number one contraception to target, because they know that there's already confusion about that.
Okay, so let's talk about that for 30 seconds, because that means that 75% of people listening to this podcast don't know the difference between Plan B and the abortion pill. Maybe, even if we're only talking to 25%. So let's talk about what the difference is.
Also, if you don't be embarrassed.
Yeah, why would you?
Now we're going to
They're purposely keeping us in the. They make this information hard to get.
Yeah, it's deliberately being misconstrued, and they're doing it on purpose. But yeah. Abortion medication ends a pregnancy. The morning after pill, emergency contraception, prevents a pregnancy. It is very, very clear cut. The anti-abortion movement would like people to believe that emergency contraception can end a pregnancy. And they are very much deliberately conflating the two any chance that they get. After Roe was overturned, a bunch of colleges, as they should, put vending machines on their campuses with Plan B. Immediately, anti-abortion groups put out press releases saying abortion medication shouldn't be available on college campuses, even though they knew it wasn't abortion medication, right? They just repeat these lies over and over and over again until they've seeped into the cultural consciousness, and people aren't really sure and they don't know the difference. And then, as you're saying, like generationally, once you have young people who grow up without sex education, grow up without a family planning clinic in their town, that just gets exponentially worse, that misinformation.
So now we know, tell your kids, tell your daughters, tell your sons, tell all your kids, if they're of an appropriate age, that Plan B is for it. Say if the birth control that you used failed, if you broke a condom.
How about if the boy comes inside you and you're a teenage girl and you were like, wait, what did you do? You came inside me? Go to the pharmacy and get Plan B. If they don't let you get it, go to a different pharmacy and get it.
Right.
Go to planb.com.
Also, you can have it on hand.
You can have it on hand. Have it mailed to you. I
very deliberately keep it. I have, like, my daughter is 14 and she knows, in our medicine cabinet, I'm like, I have it labeled in my big, like, mom Ziploc bags. Here's the emergency contraception. Here's the abortion medication. I have a ton of both. Like, I want everything in my medicine cabinet ready to go.
I also have those things because I have teenage daughters as well. And like, but we also, I would imagine Jessica and I are similar in this way. And I know, Caissie, you were as a parent. Caissie has adult sons who would carry tampons in their bags in high school and middle school for their friends, just in case.
Just in case.
Or their mom. But we talk a lot about all of these things, you know, so my kids are well aware of what all of it is and what it means. But a lot of kids aren't, and they're not getting the education in school.
Yeah. I mean, and what I think about all the time is that all of these anti-abortion groups, the other thing they're trying to do, because, you know, no clinics, no sex education, they're trying to ban pro-choice websites too, right? Like, they are proposing these laws in Texas that would make it illegal to, like, host, if you're an internet provider, a pro-choice website. I mean, literally, they're trying to strip information away from young people specifically in this really, really terrifying way. And they're going after, you know, this is why I talk about abortion as, like, this is a healthcare issue, it's a rights issue, but it's also a democracy issue and it's a free speech issue, right? It hits all of those things because those are all of the things that they're attacking. And it's a religious
issue, no joke. I mean, obviously, because, you know, in Judaism, like, abortion needs to be available, obviously.
Yeah. I just wish everyone talked about it in that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, despite how obviously people are talking about abortion a lot more than they used to, which is wonderful. And I think people are getting a better understanding. It still is so stigmatized and it still is viewed in this really binary way.
The stigma is what's so changing. The stigma is what I feel like is so important for us to address on a day-to-day level, because here's the thing, this is happening. Like, whether you are honest about it and talk about it, whether you believe in it or don't believe in it for yourself, it is continuing to happen. It has always happened for time immemorial. Like, women have found a way. The only difference is how safe and secure and protected we make people who have to make this decision, who, you know, so it's the hypocrisy of, like, this will happen for the people, the powerful people who need this to happen. Their right to have this happen will always be protected. It's everyone else's right to live and choose as they see fit that's in danger here. And so I just want to be really clear, because I think there are a lot of questions that probably young people have, and maybe even women our age have, or like that things that need to be cleared up. And we are talking about a country in which people believe that post-birth abortion is a thing that's happening. So
that is a lie. It's not. That is a lie.
That's a lie.
There's just so many of them. It's so difficult. I mean, listen, like, this is in part why I do the newsletter, in part why I wrote the book, is that there is so much misinformation, and they have been really successful, right, at sowing this everywhere. They're really, really good at it. And for whatever reason, we have not been as good at fighting back against it. But I will say, like, it does give me a lot of hope. Like, when I look at all the work that abortion funds are doing, and when I look at all the work that, you know, activists online in these social media spaces, like whether it's TikTok or Twitter or whatever, like, they are getting the word out in this really, really serious way that I don't think we could have imagined even like 5 or 10 years ago. So there is reason to hope. That's the short version. I feel like there is reason to hope when it comes to information being spread and people taking care of each other, right? Like, that's what abortion funds are doing. That's what like activists online are doing. Like, they are taking care of each other. And that's why so many of these laws are targeting those places, because they're going after they're going after the helpers, right? Like, they're going after the people who are doing the most help on the ground in these communities, because they know that it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Other than buying your book, which there's so much helpful information in here, and I highly recommend it. And I've been flipping through and looking, and and I do have to say, even from 2018 and 2019, when those first, extreme abortion bans, and that's an important thing too, this idea that that JD Vance and Donald Trump and the Republican Party are trying to say that there are no abortion bans. Guys, listen up. Listen the fuck up, because you might have a cousin or a friend or somebody who repeats this to you. And what they're saying is that there are no abortion bans that exist, because what they are claiming now is just that there are restrictions, right?
Right.
And so they're trying to reframe and not use that word. And that is working on some people as well.
It's working on like media outlets. I mean, I've seen it where places like the Washington Post are putting the word ban in scare quotes. They have been really successful at spreading this lie that ban means complete ban without an exception, even for a woman's life. And therefore, there are no abortion bans in America. And what makes that so dangerous is that it gives, like, JD Vance, who went on Meet the Press like last month or something like that, it gives him the opportunity to say, of course we wouldn't sign a national abortion ban. Because to him, a ban means no exception for women's lives, right? So it's this like way of rhetorically like crossing their fingers behind their back and pretending that they do not support federal abortion legislation when they do. Josh Hawley said, I wrote about this week in the newsletter. Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri said this week, I don't support a national abortion ban. I support federal restrictions.
Of course.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing.
And it doesn't matter the way any of these people feel about a national ban, because if you're Amber Thurman and you live in Georgia and Georgia's laws are applying to you, then okay, so you could say it got kicked back to the state of Georgia. She should be alive. She should be here with her young son. And she died due to a delay of abortion care because of, like, for whatever reason that it was delayed, because the doctors were fearful of providing that care because of legal action that could be taken against them. It doesn't matter to her or to her child whether you're talking about a federal ban or a federal restriction, or if you're talking about kicking it back to the states. Because in her state,
she's dead.
That's what happened to her.
Dead.
She died
because
in her state.
She's dead.
And I have to say, that law worked exactly as planned. They are coming out with like, oh, well, they didn't understand the law, and like maybe we need to, clarify. No. That law worked exactly as it was supposed to. The point is to scare doctors out of providing any abortion care. And if someone dies because of it, so be it. They are willing to make that sacrifice in service of their politics. It is disgusting and cruel. And watching them sort of release these bullshit talking points in the wake of this woman's death and Candy Miller's death has been infuriating. Like, some of the biggest anti-abortion groups put out press releases literally calling for justice for these women.
Yeah, right.
Because doctors misunderstood the law, or because pro-choicers scared doctors out of providing care. Absolutely not. These hospitals have smart lawyers who know how to read policy, who know how to read the law, and they're following the law. And this is what happened.
And they knew it was going to happen.
They planned for it. They pulled for it. They messaged for it, right? Like, they treated our deaths as any other political issue. They had 50 years to plan for this moment. Of course they knew this was going to happen. That's why they're putting, anti-abortion activists on maternal mortality committees in places like Texas, because they're trying to stop that information from coming out, because they know that people are going to die. And I mean, it's what makes this, there's so many horrible things about this. They also know that the people who are going to be most impacted by this, and the people who are going to die the most, are going to be women of color, are going to be Black women, and they think that people won't care. That is their hope, that American racism will shield them.
Gross.
I mean, to be fair, it has worked in the past.
It's worked. It's worked in the past. Yes.
100%. It's not coming out of nowhere. They know that it's worked. It's like that sort of like evil genius situation where it's so horrible, but it comes from a place where they know that it'll work.
Well, this is where we need to talk to white women, as we've been talking so much. And honestly, this election cycle, we need to get our shit together.
Yeah.
Because we are slightly more protected in these situations than someone else, we need to protect all women, all people who can become pregnant, because it will come for us too, very quickly.
Absolutely. I think that your privilege can shield you to a point, but not entirely. Like,
No,
I think that there is this feeling like, oh, this is only gonna, like, yes, it's going to disproportionately impact marginalized groups. We know that. That's already happening. That doesn't mean you're safe. And we've seen that. We've seen like stories like Amanda Zarowski's. We've seen people who never thought it would happen to them, who felt like they were always going to be able to get care, who had, went to all their prenatal appointments, went to the hospital, but liked their doctor. It can happen to anyone, and it will. It is not going to be long before every single person in this country has been touched in some way by an abortion ban, because that is how quickly these stories are coming out, and that is how pervasive the consequences of these laws are.
And I want to shout out all these women who we talked about on TikTok, how there's been how they've been very effective with their messaging on Reels and TikTok. But that conservative guy, Busy, I know you hate that guy. That is always
so much Project 2025.
He's always eating a hamburger and says
and he's
something.
Like, hey, guys, let's talk about this. Has anyone ever actually seen one of these cases, or do you know anyone who's actually gone through it?
And all of these, and then he takes a big fat bite of his ugly burger with his stupid face and is like, yeah, got it. Anyway, all of these regular women very courageously stitched his story, saying such a fucking stupid thing, asking such a fucking stupid question, saying, yeah, actually, I'm one of those women. I was bleeding out in the parking lot of my local hospital because I was denied abortion care. Yes, I am infertile now because of delayed abortion care that was medically necessary because of laws in my state. I believe so many women did that he wound up taking that TikTok down.
Did he?
Because, yeah, which that is so courageous to, on top of everything you've already been through, to use your voice to just say like, not fucking this time, not this time.
And it's like we were saying before, it's so brave, but also how fucked up is it that this is what's necessary in order to make people understand what's at stake?
How fucked up is it that these fucking dudes get to be smug while they're eating their goddamn hamburgers and be like, show me the receipts, bitches. Why don't you climb up into this goddamn uterus, you motherfucker? Like, I hope that guy, I literally hope he cannot get hard ever again. Like, I wish his penis shrivels and falls the fuck off. That's what I
was hoping for too. I was hoping for his dick to fall off too.
I hope
We're on the same page.
I hope
We're all
it
on the
just
same page.
shrinks. I hope it shrinks so tiny and no one can figure out what the fuck is happening, and it gets so tinier and tinier and tinier.
And then it falls off, and then it turns to dust, and there's nothing anyone can do to bring it back. That's I think the best outcome for him.
He epitomizes, I feel like, so many of these anti-abortion. I wrote a column once about, it was called The Worst Guy You Know. Every anti-abortion person I have come across is like, it's like, do you remember that guy in high school who was like, just to play devil's advocate? Like, that is the guy who is the prosecutor in your town, who is the state legislator. It is like the worst guy you've ever met. That is who is making decisions about your body. And that haunts me. I think about that all the time. But then when you see these guys talk, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
I actually remember reading that Substack, that post, because the headline was The Worst Guy You Know. And it is, and it does. That is exactly what it is. He's the bully in your high school. He's the guy who like is disgusting. Fuck, man. They are the worst
all know
guys.
Them. They are the worst. They are the worst. And that it is the twist of the knife for me in a way. I'm just like, these fucking guys, like these absolute asshole nerds are the ones who are getting to have a say. It makes me bananas.
Yeah, it makes me bananas too. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, I know what I'm doing. I know what you're doing. I know what Caissie's doing. What are the rest of us doing? What can people do?
I mean, I think in addition to saying all of the normal, regular stuff, I would say like vote and, find out what's happening in your community, like check in with your local abortion funds, see what kind of help that they need, like see what the gaps are in like as local as possible in your area. I really strongly believe in terms of stigma and just like keeping this issue in everyone's mind. There's a reason I called it Abortion Every Day, like not just to write about abortion every day. I think we need to talk about it constantly. Like my biggest fear is that this becomes normalized, that our suffering becomes normalized, that these horror stories, that someone just like sees another story and turns the page of the newspaper. We can't let that happen. We cannot let our suffering become normalized. And so I think as much as people can bear to talk about it, it's difficult, right? Like it's a hard thing to think about. No one likes to think about this. No one likes to focus on these issues too much. And I get it. But it's sort of what the moment calls for. Like the moment calls for some relentlessness. And I have seen it in different states I've been to visit. We're up for it. Like people are doing it.
Yeah, they really are. And also not being afraid to counter misinformation with the same authority and vehemence that they come at you with misinformation. If somebody says something to you, I swear to God, you guys follow your fucking gut. If someone says to you, what about the story of the baby that was murdered moments after birth in a botched abortion? Say, that didn't fucking happen. Pull up the article. That didn't happen. 100%. That did not happen. That is a lie. That
it is not
happen.
impolite to say that is not true.
No.
That is not true. That didn't happen. You're mistaken. That's wrong. You have bad information. Show me. Let's look it up. Why don't we Google it? Let's look it up. And if you feel like I think that's what happens sometimes. Even when I saw the woman that's running in Tennessee, like that beat she was taking, I could tell she was going through all of the possible ways she could respond to this man. And how she responded was, I cannot possibly even comprehend what you're asking right now. But honestly, what she should have responded is, that's a lie. That's not happening. That's a lie.
Yeah. No, we have to be willing. We have to be willing to say it. And I think like very deliberately, women have been taught not to trust themselves or the information that they have, or they feel like they're going to be dismissed or talked over, or that they don't know enough. You do. I think what you said about like following your instinct is exactly right. You absolutely know that didn't happen. And it is fine to say it.
Right. Like, and also like, yeah, when Trump says, cases of babies being murdered weeks after birth, 6 days after birth, or babies being aborted, having 6 days after birth, just let's think about that for 2 seconds. That's not an abortion. When did I tell you this the other day when I testified at Congress and Louis Gohmert said to me, "What do you think about this woman who was testifying on behalf of the Republicans as an expert witness and has claimed that she's an abortion survivor," which is a
we all are.
Well, yeah, I mean, by the way, that should have been my fucking response. Louis, that's kind of deep. Honey,
anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, but there are all of these there are all these buckets of talking points, like inflammatory talking points that the anti-abortion people have been using, and like depending on what really resonates, they just go. There's like, oh, and this bucket is getting full and people are eating it up. We're going to go with this bucket. So this idea of botched abortion in quotation marks of babies trying to be aborted after birth. This has been a thing that they've been testing out and trying for a really long time. I mean, This woman was, their response to abortion storytellers. It was this woman who, and God bless her heart, was clearly mentally, was not,
course, yeah.
There was something not
she
right
okay,
there.
Yeah.
She wasn't okay. And really believes this thing that she's been told, you know what I mean? With this story that is totally absurd. But I knew he was going to go after me because everybody had prepped me for the fact that he likes to get on the news and I'm an actress and was the only famous person testifying that day. So he was going to try to get me to look stupid or to go after me. And he started in on me, and then he said, well, what do you think about whatever the woman's name was, Ms. blah, 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 blah. Do you think that they should have been able to abort her? And I looked at him and I was like, I believe we're talking about abortion today, not murder.
Seriously.
I believe that that's what this panel is about. It's about abortion, not birth.
No, I mean, that is the response, because they are so desperate to make this about killing babies, right? Like that is like their constant refrain, because they know people actually really like abortion rights. Right. Like it's incredibly
more
popular. So anything
now
they
than
can
ever.
do, more popular than ever. 81% of Americans don't want the government making a law about abortion at all. Zero government involvement. 81% of Americans. It is an incredibly popular issue, like outrageously so. And they know it.
And they know that for the people that this works on, they're not going to make any further logical, like, for example, when we're talking about, okay, so suppose there was someone that tried to do a post-birth abortion on their child, which is, by the way, that is murder. That would be murdering a born child. And it was quote unquote botched. Why would they stop there? Like it would be relatively easy to overcome, and you know what I mean? Like, why would you stop with one attempt at a post?
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but Caissie, I did just have in my head an image of a newborn wrestling for a gun with like an adult. Like just for 1 second, because that was what you were.
Yes!
I like
this
literally
is what I'm saying.
heard your brain.
Yeah.
And what I heard was like
they're like, I don't know. We just can't, that baby's too crafty for us.
Oh my God,
like this. I mean, it's almost we're describing it and it sounds like a comedy sketch because it's ridiculous.
It's like Wile E. Coyote.
It's
like, what
ridiculous.
are you fucking talking about, motherfuckers?
Right. And then slightly less absurd and just more grievous and grave is that you can never listen to someone who in one breath talks about how we have to defend the lives of the unborn when in the next breath they absolutely will tell you why we can't be bothered to defend the lives of the born. It's absurd. It doesn't make a fucking bit of sense. And so automatically you can just kind of stop talking to that person. They're not speaking in good faith. They're not speaking with any honesty. And it's just like, I don't know. If I knew how to talk to those folks and get them to see reason, that's what I'd be doing all day, every day. But I don't know.
You can't talk to brick walls. Like, that's the thing. Like, I really do. I say this all the time. Your activist energy, your emotional energy is finite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to spend it well. And I understand wanting to change someone's mind who you care about. It's your dad, it's your close friend.
Different.
Yeah.
It's different. But like, you don't need to spend your energy on some like rando who wants to debate you at a bar. And like, I think that we have been sort of tricked is not the right word, but like convinced into thinking we need to constantly defend ourselves or defend this issue. We don't. We're like, we have the votes. We have the support. We don't need to change. And we're in the right. We are in the moral right. We do not need to change those minds. This is, a democracy issue, an issue of like a small group of extremist legislators passing laws against the will of the vast majority of voters. We need to make sure that those voters are heard. Period.
That's it. That's it.
It's time better spent.
Well,
doing
yeah.
that.
There's lots of things we could be doing with that time.
Yeah.
We could be looking at our jawlines, guys, and thinking about
a little gua sha.
We could gua sha. We could be gua shaing. You know what I mean? At a bar. I don't know. Anyway, Jessica Valenti, thank you so much for being on the podcast and talking to us and being so fearless and relentless in your dedication to making sure that the truth is fucking heard and that people know what it is. Where can people find the abortion glossary of terms? Is that what you're calling it? What is it? What is it called?
Oh, the anti-abortion glossary. I am posting videos of that goes through the anti-abortion glossary on Instagram, at the newsletter. But at the end of the book also, I include this glossary of if you hear someone say this is what it actually means.
And that is so valuable if you have people in your life who watch Fox News. You do. You know you fucking do. I'm sorry, but everybody pretty much does. And this is it's really helpful, I would say.
Thank you. I'm glad. That's the hope. The hope is that it will be useful.
I mean, it's useful. And again, I think you got to keep talking, guys. Talk about your abortions. Talk about your DNCs. Talk about, let's normalize it. Make your fucking partners talk about it. Talk about it with your kids. If age appropriate, Talk about
it with your moms. They know.
Talk about it with your moms and your dads. Talk about it with your dads. And Jessica Valenti has got so many good resources, both online, but also Abortion, Our Bodies, Their Lies, and the Truths We Used to Win, which is out October 1st. And please pre-order, please buy it. It should be on the New York Times bestseller because we want to send a very clear message that we know what the fuck is going on.
Thank you.
Right?
And subscribe to that Substack. We'll recommend it over on Substack so that you guys who are on Substack can find it easily and subscribe. And and also support a journalist actually doing the fucking work. Oh, man. And you do need a vacation. I'm just going to say.
I do. I'm going to take one. Believe me. I said at this lunch, I wasn't gray when I started this.
Isn't that crazy? Her hair is literally gone gray. I mean, it's not crazy. It fucking takes it out of you, man.
It's insanity.
It's infuriating. And we're mad, and we have to be mad. Guys, I kind of got really upset the other night and with the guy that I was dating because I just started like yelling about some shit. And he was like, wait, can you just like not like yell? And I was like, oh my fucking God. No, no, I can't not yell about this. This is absolute fucking insanity that's ruining the very fabric of our country and killing women. No, I'm sorry. I'm never going to stop fucking screaming. I'm going to scream. So.
Yeah.
We all should.
Guys, start asking what you can scream along with us. Join the yelling.
Join the yelling. You know what? And you know what, men? Fucking get used to it. I'm going to scream in your goddamn face if I want to about this shit. You know what I mean? I'm lovely to date. I think people really see it now.
I'm into it. It's hyping me up.
Yes. It's like, oh, there. He's just texting me right now. His ears must have been burning.
Text back in all caps.
It's fine.
Oh my gosh. Jessica, thank you for everything you're doing. Thanks for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to talk to us today about this, about what we can do. It makes me feel more hopeful that like this information's there. It's not hard to find. There are great sources. You're one of the great sources. You're making it easy for people. And we've got like 40 something days, to
we have some we can do it. We have some time. Thank you for having me on and for chatting with me.
Oh, you're the best. You're
it
the
means
best.
A lot.
All right. Well, I'll see you on your Substack.
Bye.
Bye. I don't want it to sound like he was being unreasonable.
No, you were just yelling because you were hyped.
Fucking hyped and yelling.
And he was like, what are you yelling at me for, probably?
Yes, exactly. And And I was like,
this happens in my house
yelling
every day. This happens in my house every day where everyone's like, why are you yelling? And I'm like, why are you not yelling?
By the way, exactly. Why are you not fucking yelling?
I get it.
It's hard, but I do think men, it's not for them. They don't get it. They don't fucking get it. It doesn't hit them in the same way, in the same place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until they do, until it's their daughter or their partner or until it does, their sister, and then suddenly, but that's too late to wait. And I'm not saying this about I'm just saying in general for people. And so you know how people always say, when people say are you mad at me? And then sometimes you answer, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what I'm like. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling about the situation.
I'm yelling about the absolute fucking injustice of my wine glasses being out of reach this entire time.
You need a longer cord.
I know. I was trying to, you guys, I wish you could see me right now. I'm literally trying to stretch. Wait, hold on. Let's begin.
Without pulling her equipment off her desk.
Wait, hold on. Wait. And without, look at it. Hold on. Did I do it?
I feel like you did it. I feel like
what I did.
This could have been so dangerous, but you did it. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Started drinking again. I don't know if you can tell.
How long have you been drinking again?
Just a week-ish, maybe.
Yeah. How's it going? Do you feel like you're approaching it in a different way? Or just...
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm not drinking. I mean, the summer was a real summer of Sancerre. You know what I mean? It was
sure.
The summer gets real Sancerre. And I do feel like I got to the point where I was like, I need to take a break. Every day, it's a bottle of Sancerre. That's not
your
good
blood
for
is
my
flammable.
Liver.
Yeah,
no. And so that break was good. It was 4 weeks or something like that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was good. And then, she's back.
Back on the horse.
Sort of, yeah. But I mean, I definitely am not sincereing every day, and not to the degree. But right now, I do want a little sincere.
You
because I had gotten it
hard
out
today.
Earlier. I had worked all day.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm eating these stale pretzels still.
The pretzels, and you need a little moisture to get it down, and it might as well be something.
I also had opened my emergency pack of Zesta saltine crackers.
Wow,
that lives on my desk just in case.
Just in case. Yeah. Wow, we have a lot of dry foods.
One thing I love is to make my mouth even drier when I'm doing interviews and talking to people.
You sound like who's that guy, Jonathan Schwartz? You know, is he? I hope he's still alive. He's like a radio guy that it always sounds like he's just eaten a cracker to me. He always sounds so dry to me. He's like really a music gross. Guy. I mean, and yet I find him very compelling to listen to. So,
well, you love the sound of a dry cracker mouth. Seed. Let's seed. DS1 seed. Okay, I don't know how that was, guys. Sometimes if Caissie's not here and I'm doing the ads, it's hard for me. But listen, we got to take care of ourselves. And we got to take care of our guts and our gut health. And that is why Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic is the go-to. It benefits your gut, your skin, your heart health. 2 capsules a day, okay? I've been doing it all summer. It has really worked. I will say, I saw Kendra Mann today who does my makeup, and she was like, dude, your skin looks rad. And I'm going to tell you, I have been taking this DS01 Daily Symbiotic for a couple months now. Okay? It's very convenient. You don't have to refrigerate it. Also, after last year when I kind of got sick and I was having all of this imbalance in my gut, and I went and I did get the colonoscopy, and I was told, literally, there's nothing wrong with you. We've done all the tests. We've done the colonoscopy. You need a daily probiotic. You need something that's going to regulate you. And this is how Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic came into my life, and why it's going to stay there forever, because they do rigorous scientific testing. They have a commitment to microbiome science. Your body as an ecosystem. Your gut is a central hub for various pathways throughout the body. They know that. And a healthy gut microbiome means benefits for everything, not just digestion, but skin, but heart, but your immune system, but everything. They have this patented capsule in capsule design, which means that all 24 strains of bacteria survive the journey from shipping to your door, right through going into your mouth, down your throat, into your stomach, through the digestion. There's no synthetic or chemical coatings. There's no refrigeration needed. And they go the extra mile. Seed tests their probiotics in Chyme, which is the closest system developed to model human digestion and the gut, and ensures 100% of the dose is delivered to where it needs to go. They have clinical trials. They have breakthrough research published in top scientific journals. Seed's probiotic research and development makes DS01 a product you can trust. I trust it. I love it. I'm telling you, I've seen the benefits. And probiotics and prebiotics work best when they're used consistently, like every routine health habits, okay? And they have a subscription service that easily builds DS01 into your routine. So support your gut with Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic. Go to seed.com/25best and use code 25best to get 25% off your first month. That's 25% off your first month of Seed's DS01 Daily Symbiotic at seed.com/25best, code 25best. Oh, Smalls, I love you. Our little cats do love you, Smalls. Guys, you know that we have cats. I know oftentimes the cats aren't given the same kind of public attention, public forward-facing attention that the golden doodle gets. But that's only because the cats, like my children, don't love to be put on Instagram. They're not running toward the camera. Do you know what I mean? But I do love Gildo and Rosie so much. And they're so cute. And they're so sweet. And these cats, they want to have variety in their diet, just like you and me, just like us. And our cats literally argue with each other over their food. Because Smalls is a healthier cat food that I love, that our cats love. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients that you would find in your fridge. It's delivered right to your door. It's shelf-stable. It's why veterinarians.org rates Smalls 10 out of 10 for ingredient quality. Your cats are going to smell better. Your cats are going to eat great. They love this food. I'm telling you. You still not a believer? Okay. Well, New York Magazine calls Smalls the best cat food, according to veterinarians. And BuzzFeed says, my cats went completely ballistic for this stuff. And I'm telling you, I have 2 cats that are like very picky little people. And since we switched to Smalls, they are not picky at all. They are just like running to the bowl, kicking each other in the face out of the way. They have 2 bowls, but still, you understand what I'm saying. My cat's breath is better. Their fur is softer. We love Smalls. Smalls was also started back in 2017 by a couple of guys who were just like home cooking cat food in small batches for their friends. And a few short years later, living the dream, they've served millions of cats, including mine. 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements after switching to Smalls. That is a big deal. And I'm telling you, I do have picky cats. Smalls has a sampler so your cat can try every flavor Smalls has to offer. That's amazing. Also, the team at Smalls is so confident that your cat's going to love it. You can try it risk-free. That's right. They're going to refund you if your cat doesn't want to eat their food. All right. Now is the time to make that switch to Smalls. Head to smalls.com/best. Use promo code BEST at the checkout for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That is the best offer you're going to find, but you got to use the code BEST for 50% off your order. One last time. That's promo code BEST, 50% off your first order plus a free shipping. All right. Because it's late and I have worked all day, I'm going to let you talk. Okay. I want to know about Prince House.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll tell what I can tell. I won't tell the details, but it was amazing. It was hosted by Airbnb, and they sort of worked with Wendy and Lisa from The Revolution, Prince's band that's in the movie Purple Rain. They sort of worked with them to do all of these like little touches. It was like they were the hosts of the Airbnb. And
okay, cute. But wait, can you not talk about it because it's like not released publicly yet or something?
Right. I can't say all of the...
Is it embargoed?
It's embargoed until Friday.
When?
Friday.
Shit. So should we talk about it next week?
We can, but here's what I'll say.
I want to hear about it.
It's hosted by Wendy and Lisa. It is the actual house, the actual Purple Rain house that the kid lived in Minneapolis, which Prince owned the house for years. I think he owned a lot of properties, but he bought that house at some point, and so it belongs to the estate. And they made it over into an experience that, like, and this picture has been online, so you can see it on Airbnb's website. So if you have ever watched Purple Rain, which Busy hasn't, but we're gonna watch it together sometime soon, coming up. If you've ever watched Purple Rain, you know that the kid's bedroom is down in the basement, and it's a very unique bedroom. And so they sort of made a replica of the kid's bedroom, which is where I slept and where I spent the night. And we were, I don't think they mind us saying, we were the very first guests. So nobody had slept in the house.
What?
Yeah. We were
Caissie, this is the best present I've ever given you.
It was truly such a great present. Thanks to everyone.
Is there a bathtub? You can't say.
We'll find
there
out.
Has to be. And you got to be the first person in the fucking bathtub.
It's
my God.
It was really super fun and super, like, they just took such good care of us. And it was so nice. I've been to the house many times over the years, like, because people, even when we were there, like, people were cruising by to, like, take pictures of it because it's, like, iconic. It's from the movie. And so, and it's easily recognizable as well. But they took such good care of us. And it was so cool to be inside the house where part of the movie was made. And it was just super fun, but I'll tell you all about it. Right now I'm trying to teach myself like how to edit a TikTok so that I can make like a comprehensive TikTok of all my clips and pics.
This feels like a job for your sons. I'm sorry. I just feel like we need to outsource this a little bit. I feel like they can do it.
Who knows?
I recently have been feeling like I need to hire somebody to make social media stuff for me and post for me. Because guess what? I don't know if you've noticed. Those photo carousels, that's not because I like giving you all the, it's because I can't do it anymore, guys. I got too much, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, I'm exhausted. And I think about it and then I'm like, but I can't, like now at this point, oh God, this is so embarrassing to even admit. Now at this point, I'm like getting to this point where I'm just like, do I even like my face right now? So then I'm like, I gotta look, and you know I have a whole thing. Like I don't love a filter. I don't love a filter, but I will not Facetune, right? Like I don't do it. That is a thing. That is a line for myself. That is that is my own situation that I agreement with myself. But then also, and this is the part where I'm like, I can't believe I'm admitting this. Well, also that I'm having an issue with my face because that's fucking bullshit. Like I have a beautiful face and I'm just aging like a normal person. But
I'm going to say, and you know, I'm the most feminist and like give ourselves grace person I really am. But I also think it's a question of like grappling with your mortality. And I think
it's
everybody feels that way. Men feel this way. It's just harder to watch yourself look like you've never looked before. When you're a kid, it's exciting to watch yourself grow up, but it's on the downhill, on the downslope, it's hard to watch yourself. I'm sorry, not to put too fine a point on it, but grow closer to death. It's fucking crazy.
Well, and like, I never thought that grappling with, you know, it does have to do with this too. Like, Mark was like, maybe if you were dating someone older, this wouldn't be. Fuck you. I mean, fuck you in like the most loving way ever. I totally
take it with a grain of salt what the ex-husband says about who you're.
I know, but like, but it's not like the guy I'm dating isn't going to want to have children someday.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And like,
sure.
Honey, she didn't freeze anything. I got nothing frozen. And they're you know, it's gone probably. I mean, we don't even know, but like it's not probably happening. But beyond that, even if I wasn't dating this guy, like it's not, no, it's fine. Maybe cut this out. I don't know. Because I never know what I'm supposed to be saying about this shit. But even if I wasn't like, hadn't been seeing someone younger, the truth is Broody turning 16 and really, you guys, like, I can't even, I'm not, you know, like I said, I had made sort of a decision that I wasn't going to like talk as much about my kids and their experiences and wasn't posting them as much online and stuff for a myriad of reasons. But I will just say this, like, she looks like a grown up. Like she's starting to really, like, I really see it. Like she's really becoming like a woman, you know, like a young woman. And that, like being confronted with that and she looks so much fucking like me from when I was 19 years old on television. Yeah. And like, not everybody gets that benefit of having a a record of themselves, like in real time aging.
Right.
Like, we can watch me age.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Michelle and I were talking about this. Like, we're like, Michelle literally has been in television and movies since she was like 10 years old.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so like it's the combination, I think, of all of these things, right? And then that's preventing me from posting my own self on Instagram. And then I'm just like, I don't know how to make a fucking reel. I remember Renee Elise Goldsberry posting something for Girls by Mama. And we were like, oh my God, Renee, that's like the most beautiful, like edited video. Like, who did you get to do that? Da, 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 da. And she wrote back, ladies, I literally spent the last 4 days making... She's like, more hours of my life have gone into this than I care to admit in this moment. And I just feel like, can I be honest? I don't think it's for us. Like, I think we should just have somebody else do it for us.
Here is how I feel about it, because, you know, maybe you guys know this, like a couple of times, and I mean, truly, a couple of times, 2 times, I've taken audio from the podcast and made little like animated, like used software to make little animated reels to put on Instagram, just to see, like, I want to figure out how to do this stuff, mainly so that, just so I know what goes into it, like how hard it is. Because I feel like a lot of people are quite dismissive of like, oh, influencers and like people that are big TikTok stars and things like that. Like, it's not a talent and they're famous for doing nothing and they're making money for doing nothing. I know that's not true. I know it's a talent. I know it's work. I want to know what goes into it before I ever ask anyone. Like, the women that do it for QVC are incredible.
It's crazy.
And
it's so quick.
So quick.
But
And
it's
they're
just
just
like,
like
wait, I literally, oh no, Sophia Bush and I were just having this conversation. Did we talk about this on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Wait, okay. Sophia and I just had this conversation because literally when we were in North Carolina, she was like, oh my God, we got to do this TikTok trend. We never fucking got around to it. Guys, we were trying our best here, but we just aren't, it's just like, it's not in our DNA. And I was relaying to her that when I did, the Vote for Abortion event in Arizona in June, you know, they rightfully and smartly invited a ton of these young TikTok influencers to come. And the entire day, June Diane and Kulap and I were just like eyes wide open watching these professional people make these things so quickly and just like throw it up. You know what I mean? Like, it was just done. But not only that, they all had like kind of like a whole crew with them, like of friends, and they're all friends with each other. So they like shoot each other's stuff. And like, it's this real communal situation of building content. And they have just a very strong understanding of how to do it and how to do it quickly and easy. Honestly, it seemed easy for them. And for like Sophia and I could not even figure out how to do the like one dumb TikTok that we thought was going to be a good idea.
What
like,
was the trend you were trying to do?
It was,
do you remember?
It was like, yeah. I mean, it was more like, it was like something about like the new school shows up at the old school or something like that. And it was like to reference like in North Carolina, it was like to reference Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill. But like literally, I don't even remember what it was. It was fun. Like it was a great idea.
Yeah. But you just never.
Yeah.
When people do the dances on TikTok, I'm like, they have to learn the dance. That's a full day for me just to learn the dance. Never mind how many times you have to tape it. When that Apple song about, you know, I split the apple down symmetrical lines, I got apple poisoning from that on TikTok because of how many times I saw 1,000 million people doing that dance.
Just did the Stephen Colbert and Evie Colbert have a cookbook that's coming out or
Yes.
has just come, or comes out this week.
Yeah.
And I moderated their book talk at this beautiful theater in Charleston.
Oh, good.
The Gallon Theater. Anyway, Stephen did the dance with a 10-year-old in the audience, and I was like, fucking Stephen Colbert could do this dance?
It's wild. It's wild. My brain is just not there to do that, but I do want to figure it out. My son makes TikToks all the time of his like celebrity impressions. And I'm always so like, I love Lincoln's impressions. I think they're really good and I think they're really funny, like the content that he speaks on when he does the impressions. But if I'm being honest, above all else, what I'm most impressed is that he always gets graphics, music, edited sound effects in there. And like, that's just like everything else is like a talent, but that's like a learned skill. And I feel like I'm just so impressed that he learned that skill. And I think it's like extra wiring that people that age have that I just don't have.
I don't have it. And I need somebody to have it for me because I can't do this by myself. And I don't have an Instagram husband anymore. And I'm, on and off seeing a guy who's mostly gone.
Yeah.
Filming other people. So
yeah, you can't afford to have him do your...
He's outside of my pay grade. Although I do have a really good idea for this document. I like actually about that he would have to film me if he wanted to do.
Okay.
But I do have this really good idea and I really want to do it.
Okay.
We don't need to talk about it.
It's a secret right now.
I don't know. Is it a secret? Who cares? I mean, what is anything? What is you know what I mean?
Right.
It is a good idea. It's a really good idea.
Yeah. I'm of mixed minds. Like, do you go on record saying what the idea is?
Yeah. And I'm like, this is my idea.
Yeah. And then no one can steal it?
But I do feel like someone will fucking swoop in and do it.
All right. Well, that's
I want to tell you though, because I want to actually get your opinion. But it was an idea I had like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And then it kind of came back around because it like has to do with somebody else asking me to do something. And I was like, yes, but only if we can film it and make it into a documentary or like a short, like a limited docu-series kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I think it's good.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know if what's his name is. He might be out of my league.
I know other documentary makers.
He does prestige shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's great. He's the only person for you to date right now, but he's not the only documentary maker for you to make documentaries with.
I think though that might be a deal breaker. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just mean like if he was like, I decided I'm going to do a documentary with, Sophia Bush, for instance, I'd be like, oh, huh.
Interesting.
That's interesting. Interesting choice.
Well, I don't want to,
I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, my fucking hard on for wanting to like work with someone I'm dating. That's like the only thing I ever want to do.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it's interesting. It's interesting to work with someone who you're in a relationship with because it says a lot about how they feel about you. It certainly tests a lot. And the reason I'm saying this is because of two things. Matt and I went to film school together. That's where we met. And so we worked on films together in school. And that always taught me that like we work well together. Like we definitely work well together. But then once we graduated, we had no occasion really to work together on anything. I mean, I guess we could have chosen to work together on things, but we didn't. We both kind of went our separate career ways. But one day we had to replace a window in our house in Connecticut. And, because it was one window that had like gotten broken. Probably one of the kids broke it and never admitted to it. But it was such a small job that nobody would come and replace the window. Like no window repairman would come and replace the window unless they were doing all the windows in the house. So we went to Home Depot. We bought a new window that fit in the window hole. We educated ourselves with YouTube videos and we were so scared because it was like a second floor window. But we worked together so calmly and so well putting that window in while our kids were at school one day. And that was the best sex we ever had in our life after we put that window in together. Crazy, best time out of all the thousands of times over all the years.
My God, that just like literally you saying thousands of times just made me feel like, oh my God, how many times have you and Matt had sex? I've never even thought about that. Like people who've been married, you guys, how many times have you fucked? So many times. Thousands?
Wouldn't it be so sad if I was like a couple hundred? Like, I mean,
I actually don't know. I literally don't know if it would be sad. I don't know. Some people don't have sex. Some people aren't very sexual. I don't fucking know. I have no judgment about anyone's bedroom
since 1990.
habits.
Since
What?
1990.
That was when John was born.
I know. So I'm saying, like, you know.
You've been having sex as long as that guy has been alive.
He could be our child.
Definitely he could be your child.
Your boyfriend could be our child.
I mean, I think his dad is literally Mark's age.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm still eating pretzels, guys. I'm sorry. Don't write in, please.
She has to eat a little pretzel because she's having
I'm fucking
wine.
starving. It's 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm a toddler. I normally eat at 5:15 on the dot. Now I'm just half a bottle of Sancerre and some pretzels in post Jessica Valenti talking about this guy that I'm on again, off again dating. Can't even like shut the fuck up. I need to shut the fuck up, Caissie.
What are you doing your best at this week?
Certainly not that. Certainly not. You know what I'm doing my best at this week? This past week? We didn't even talk about it. I have done so much fucking abortion shit this week, I cannot even describe to you. And it has really taken it out of me, and I'm going to start crying right now. But I'm so fucking mad about all of these women that have been suffering so intensely, and then thinking about all of these girls and young women whose lives are being completely derailed by their financial situation, their zip code, and possibly the color of their skin, preventing them from getting care in these 14 states that have such extreme restrictions on abortion. They're making it prohibitive. I love people like Jessica and the people that run abortion funds and all of the helpers who are trying to help women navigate this almost impossible system that has been rigged against them. And I'm so fucking angry. And the only thing I can think to do is say yes to all of these things. Yes. Okay. Of course. I'll come to the thing. I'll do this fucking podcast. I'll show up and talk about this thing. I will like continue to harp on it. And continue to call out all of the misinformation, whether it's like, you know, from people who like think that they have good intentions or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even at what sometimes feels a little bit like an emotional drain to myself, I think about like what Amanda Zarowski is doing and what so many, you know, and Caitlin Joshua and like all of these other women who have just recently experienced this super traumatic situation because of their gender and the state that they live in and needing abortion care and being denied, and how they're, you know, continuing to show up and do it. And so for me, I'm like, of course I can fucking do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing my best at that. At like answering the email and saying, okay, yeah, I can make room for that. So I'm doing my best at that. I didn't do my best at like some like positive communication this week. And like, I feel like a little bit like I've been kind of a little bit of a flailing baby emotionally in my personal life with like friends and family, you know, which was a bummer.
Yeah.
But I am doing my best at giving myself grace for it and being like, well, okay. It happened. You know what I mean? Like, I got to move on. And if they can't, like, well, all right, fuck them.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. if you know that you are flailing and that you are struggling and you did everything you could to make it the most right that you could, then then that's all you can do. It just, I hear you. I feel like I've been flailing this week too. And, just needing lots of help and not being the strongest person and not being the most understanding person, maybe not being my best self. But like that happens sometimes, that it just happens. And I had the best intentions every moment of every day to be productive and thoughtful and kind and giving everyone else grace. But like sometimes I fucking need some grace, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yes.
And we've had this conversation a million times about how like it seems wild that you should have to point out to people sometimes that you're a person. And I don't even mean that in a like, like I'm treated inhumanly. I just mean like sometimes you can have it together or seemingly have it together so much, so often in a way that people have become so accustomed to that if you fall apart a little bit, it's like, it's scary to people.
Yes, everyone gets freaked the fuck out because you're not allowed to because you're holding it together. This is, by the way, this thing that you just said, I bet you is the most relatable thing that anyone on our podcast has said in months. I'm not kidding. I would, if you're listening right now, I am going to bet we could get thousands of responses to that, which is because as women, we are taught from very small that we hold it. We're the holders. We hold it all. And we got to hold it. And we have to show up regardless, rain or shine. We're the ones that shoulder it and fucking show up. And so then when you lose your shit, rightfully you lose your fucking shit. And everybody's like,
right. Yeah. And the way that people take it, like I have no control over, when I lose a hold of everything that I've been holding and the way that it hits people, that's hard to see because you have no control over the way anyone's gonna take it. And the hope is that someone will say like, oh gosh, like Caissie's human and like we've all lost our shit at some point. But it's hard because like, I'm the keeper of the stuff. I'm the keeper of the emotional stuff, I feel like a little bit. And so, I was just having a talk with Matt, talk about thousands of times of having sex over the years. I was just having a talk with Matt yesterday about the thousands of pep talks that I've given over the years and how I wonder how many pep talks I've been the subject of, like how many times anyone ever encouraged me when I was feeling discouraged. And it was low, if I'm being honest, like it was low. And I don't know if that's because like people think like you don't need it. That would be insulting to you. Or like if nobody ever even thought of it. I don't know. But there have been probably thousands of times when I could have used someone saying like, this doesn't matter. If this doesn't go well, it's okay. You've got this. Fuck them people that, need to be told to fuck off. It's just.
I did tell that. I did say that to you once.
You've said it to me many times.
I have.
But I'm just saying like day to day, and to be fair to everyone in my life, I've never asked. I've never said. I've always been there ready with a pep talk, but I've never said like I could really use some encouragement right now. So I never communicated that, but we had a talk about it. And Matt was like, yeah, I mean, you have passed out literally thousands of pep talks to all of us over the years about how we could do it and, you know, how we had this and how you had us and no one has done it for you. So, you know, it's one of those things I think that I'm not gonna regret the past. I'm not going to regret all the times I maybe needed a pep talk and didn't communicate that I did or someone didn't see that I did. I'm just going to say that I'm glad that we got to a place where we were talking about it now and about how, because yesterday I really needed a pep talk and he was able to give me one and made me feel a million times better about something that, well, that's the thing about pep talks, right? They're always about something that doesn't fucking matter, usually. And it's something that's going to be fine either way, or it won't. You know, like what's going to happen is going to happen. It's just the act of talking to someone and talking them through the moment when they're just feeling like they can't hold it all. And so yesterday I was feeling like I couldn't hold it all. And it was the first time where I was like, I'm out of arms. I'm out of holding, you know, I don't got this. And, you know, so that's good. But I hope everyone listening, like if this sounds familiar to you at all, like that it's never too late maybe to start saying like,
hey, guess what I need?
Yeah, I need this.
Well, it's actually interesting. Maybe I'm going to change my thing. No, but I do just want to say that like, so yeah, I'm like, obviously, oh God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm feeling like embarrassed. Like I also like don't want like John or like his friends to like hear this, which is so awkward. So like, what am I doing? Why am I even talking about it?
Wait, I'm going to interrupt you because you being embarrassed is a very recent phenomenon. You never have been embarrassed in all the years that I've known you.
I know. Wait,
and
it's
so you're
funny
feeling
I was
a little
doing press
shy
today, and somebody was like, "Are you like the stigma of talking about ADHD? You know, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if you can tell. I don't really feel a lot of shame or stigma talking about anything. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally like, oh my God, you guys, I had a blood clot in my Diva cup today. But like, I don't know. But dating is fucking weird for me. And like, oh no, and this is super vulnerable because historically speaking, I wasn't great at it. And like, again, I don't want to talk about my kid, but there are so many ways in which in conversation with my child, I have learned that like I've done a fucking good job as a parent because of the self-respect and like ability that she has to voice her needs and like what's acceptable and what's not to her in relationships, all relationships, not just like a dating, you know what I mean?
Right,
like I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And in fact, like it's made me feel as a fucking 45-year-old person trying to date a little bit like, God damn it. My 16-year-old has a better handle on how to like navigate interpersonal relationships than I do still.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure it out. And I will say, it's so interesting that you say that because I've been having, obviously, dudes, there's always 4 billion things going on in all of our lives.
Yeah.
But there is some stuff that like we'll talk about in the future, but we're not talking about in this moment because I need to like deal with it, get through it and process, right?
Yeah.
And make sure everybody in my personal life is good and whatever. And John's gone because he's like filming. So he's like gone for weeks and weeks. He's gone.
Yeah.
But we like talk and stuff, you know, whatever. And he was like, I was like, I've had this rough day, whatever. And he was like, oh man, I'm sorry. And then I was like, you know what I need? I actually just need you to like just call me and just be really nice and soft and sweet. That's all I need. Like, that's what I want. That is what I want and like what I need and what I think would make me feel okay.
Yeah.
And like, for me to even be able to articulate that is fucking rare. And, I've been dealing with this in therapy too, but like the regret I have with not having been able to do real work in therapy so that I could have gone to that place with my marriage, like in my marriage with the father of my kids. But I never got there, and he never got there.
Yeah.
And we never got there together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like as friends now, we have such a good shorthand. And like as co-parents, we're really mostly fucking, in it together and able to articulate. But even still, our communication and the way that like I do still feel like we miss each other sometimes, like the way that we communicate. And I don't think that'll ever change. Like, I don't actually think that'll ever change, But I was really proud of myself for being able to like identify like, oh, I actually don't need anything. I just would like just sweetness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This would be helpful in the moment. And that's to be able to identify that. And I will say that I've been thinking a lot about this because of like, well, this is going to sound wild, but I watched the Menendez brothers show, the Ryan Murphy, which people have feelings about it.
Birdie just broke the entire thing down for me, like beat by beat, scene by scene. I was like, how is she? She's so funny with stuff. She can watch things and then she should be. Remember when Paul F. Tompkins used to do like the recaps of shows?
Yeah. Everybody did.
Like early days of like blogosphere vibes.
Yeah.
Where people would do show recaps.
Yeah.
Birdie could be like a mid-aughts show recapper
just
for
recapping
sure.
It. Just
recapping. It. She should actually just do TikTok recaps. I would fucking watch it 100%.
Totally. So yeah, watching that, and that was such a, like that happened, those murders happened when I was still in high school, but then the trial happened when I was at the Late Show, because I only went to college for a couple years and I was already working by the time the trials happened. And I have a memory of Dave not wanting to tell jokes about the Menendez brothers, even though it was a big joke on Leno. He was making a lot of jokes about the Menendez brothers, but I remember Dave not being.
By the way, of course he was.
Of course,
I
remember Dave being like, I don't, and I remember at the time sort of being like, and I'm not saying that you couldn't go back and find him never mentioning Lyle and Eric Menendez. I just think that I remember him curbing it, and I remember him saying like, this is messed
really
up,
deeply tragic.
Yeah. But that being said, I've been thinking about it because of that, because of everything with like the Diddy case happening. And
which, by the way, I'm so far, but I don't even fucking know anything. But like something came across my feed today and I was like, wait, what?
What?
Like, I knew that, okay, like I knew the Cassie stuff and that he was like horrifically abusive to her. And then I heard some like, I don't really know what it is. Like some Jeffrey Epstein trafficking, sex trafficking, but I literally don't know.
I haven't read the legal documents. I, of course, have just been watching TikToks and Reels or whatever.
Okay,
and
great.
There's tons of speculation about things. I haven't read the documents myself. I'm just like looking at all the speculation. But it's obvious that a lot of really bad shit happened. And then I'm also remembering the first time I had any awareness of what TMZ was. And it was Harvey Levin had cornered Paris Hilton coming out of a restaurant, and he was reading internet comments to her saying like, Paris, this is what people are saying about you on the internet. Let me just read this to you. And the things that he was saying, this is all to say that you and I and everyone our age and in between, we grew up in a really, really, really toxic time where showing...
babe, that's kind of what my book's about.
Yeah. Where showing any weakness was just like, that was it. You were done for. Like, and I'm not talking, not just at school, but in your professional life, also fucking at home for a lot of us. You show any weakness, you're done for in that situation. And it just was such a toxic time where no one gave a shit what you were going through. No one gave a shit what you needed. No one gave a shit how much you were hurting over something traumatic that they knew had happened to you. And you were just supposed, like, we invented the phrase, suck it up, buttercup. And like, that was it. Like, you just, nobody gave a shit.
No one gave a shit.
It doesn't surprise me that it is revelatory and almost like wild to us. Like, it's blowing our minds that you can be like, you know what I really could use right now? Soup. Can you get me soup? Or can you, like, could you just be nice to me and speak to me in a soft voice? Or it doesn't surprise me.
By the way, like, yeah, well, I just want to tell you this, but like, you might want, maybe we cut it out just because I feel like I'm talking about John too much. But literally when I land, Charleston was fun.
Yeah.
But that day, that Sunday was like a shit show for food because of a series of unfortunate events that happened. Like, no joke. Like, I had all the best intentions of eating well that day. And then there was a series of unfortunate events that escalated.
Got away from you.
And no, it's not even that it got away from me. It's that I made a poor choice. And then that poor choice spiraled. Do you know what I mean? And then the next thing I know, I'm on a Delta plane that has been grounded because it's UN week in New York and they have to wait for Trudeau and somebody else, like literally grounded for an hour. And so then I'm like, now I'm really fucked. And I was flying back with Stacy from Hampton.
Yeah.
And there was rosé on the plane. And so then I ate rosé, a bag of potato chips, a bag of snack mix. That's it.
And by bag, we know this. I just have recently had a bag of Delta snack mix, and it's really like two pretzels tiny. And a bagel chip.
I will say that is 100%. I had 2 of the little snack packs, actually.
So 4 pretzels and 2 bagel chips.
And I did have a full, it was what seemed like a full-size bag of potato chips, although it could have been mini, but in comparison to the snack pack, seemed giant. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, the point being,
those glasses aren't miniature of the rosé. How many did you have?
The rosé was a full can. And I had 2 of them. We each had 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then I was like chatting with John after I landed in the car on the way home, because then I had an hour. And then I got home, and then a guy pulled up and he had brought me, and there was a guy, John's out of town, he's filming, I'm never seeing him again. And this guy pulled up and he had brought me the Minetta Tavern burger.
That's so nice. I don't think that's talking to, I mean, that's thoughtful.
No, I'm saying it was so fucking nice.
No, I know, but you're like, I don't want to talk too much. I mean, I think that's very.
I know. So, and then he told me to not yell at him after that. You know what I mean? About
but you were still full of rosé.
I was heated.
You were still full of, you know, 100%. A Minetta Tavern burger only soaks up so much rosé.
No, the rosé also had seniority in my body.
It had established dominance.
Exactly. That was what I was looking for. The rosé had already established dominance in my body.
Yeah.
The burger was coming in after the fact and was like, we're going to try our best here. But
Let's settle
listen,
down.
this ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Like this ship is, we don't know. She's gone. This is, we've got 3 pretzels to work with in here. Mini pretzels and 2 Gardetto. What are those things called? Those little like round Melba,
bagel
mini
chips.
Melba rounds. They're not bagel chips though. They're like Melba? No, they're not Melba toasts
Okay, but
either. They're like
hear me out. It's a pumpernickel bagel that they've sliced into little rounds around the bagel. So I think they're, I don't know. I think they're bagel chips.
You win.
But there are Melba. But what's the difference between Melba and bagel? That's what I sound like.
What
this
came first?
Yeah,
the chicken or the Melba?
Exactly. All I know is those are real tiny. I think that's so nice, and I think that's lovely, and you deserve that. And like my family does nice shit for me all the time too. You know, it's like that's kind of.
I'm saying what to your point.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's the fucking thing that Birdie always says. So what? It's the bare minimum, and I'm supposed to be grateful. So you treat me with the bare minimum, I'm supposed to be grateful? That's the kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's that generation. She's like, yeah, you should be sending me a goddamn fucking burger to my door. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's like, I expect nothing less.
Right.
I'm like, this is the nicest. What can I will, what do you want? Like I will put my fucking pussy on a plate for you at this point. Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe somewhere between those two is
I'm just
the best we can hope for. Somewhere between.
But I'm just saying that like this other generation, this thing is like, she's like, I'm not grateful for how you should be treating me.
Right.
That is the thing, man. And I'm like, I'm grateful for every fucking crumb. Right. I'm grateful for the fucking bagel chip. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
If it had been a bag of bagel chips, I would have been like, oh my God, you guys. You cannot believe, oh my God. It was like literally the nicest thing that's ever happened to me.
Well, I think it's a couple things. I think it's like, there's nothing wrong with being grateful, but we have to stop tricking ourselves into believing that what we're getting is all we deserve, which is what I think that generation is really great about. And I think they're like, don't let yourself be fooled into like when your boss tries to tell you that we're all a big family here. Has no one ever gotten fired? You don't fire your family. So stop believing that bullshit. It's clear bullshit,
And so many of us who are like our age is like, these kids don't pay their fucking dues and they da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, well, no, actually, they're just like acknowledging that the system that existed like doesn't serve anyone well. And in fact is detrimental. And they're just like demanding better and being like, bye, peace the fuck out.
Yeah. Or just like, how long have I believed in my life? Like, oh, you just have to pay your dues. You just have to pay your dues. God. I'm like almost ready to retire. And
you are in your 50s.
Yeah. And I'm still like, oh, I'm just paying my dues, and
fuck
it's just
that.
Like, no.
Meanwhile, every mediocre white bro is just like out over there with like fucking paint across his goddamn face. And people are like, give him 50 million more.
Oh my gosh.
What?
So
those smartless guys need more money. Let's do it.
They're so
fucking
popular.
Real cultural touch point for me. I'm sorry, but it's always going to be the Sancerre's hitting. Yeah. It's a real issue for me.
You don't have a burger right now. You don't have any bagel chips.
He doesn't even know. Doesn't even know that the Sancerre is in me. No.
Oh my God.
And by the way, it's my own job to take care of myself. By the way.
But it's nice for someone to help you sometimes, because
sometimes it is.
You've been doing the job of taking care of a lot of people, and it's nice. So I think it's like two things. It's nice to have someone just be like, hey, let me do this for the person that I love. Let me hook Caissie up with going to the Purple Rain house, which you did because you knew that I would never do that for myself.
No. I was approached by Airbnb for something else. And I was like, maybe, but here's what I'm going to ask you to do.
Exactly. You use your power for that. So that's really good. And that just means that you have a good relationship, I think, with a person when you're like, this would really mean a lot to them. And like, I just want to do something nice for this person. But then also, like, good for us for being in a place where for the first time we are like, yes, Purple Rain House is amazing. A burger is amazing. Those are delightful surprises and like, you know, helping to take care of us in a way.
Yes.
But also being able to be like, you know what would super be helpful if you picked up the dog shit today? Because I've picked up the dog shit the last 1,000 times.
You know what would be super helpful? If you gave me a pep talk. You know what would be super helpful?
Exactly.
If you just told me I was pretty. You know what I mean?
And knowing that that's what you needed. And sometimes that's all you need, you know, and those, it's good for us.
I want someone listening right now. I want you to fucking email the email. I want someone who's listening right now to be like, yeah, that's all I wanted my husband to do was to tell me I was pretty. Shit. And I want you to tell him that's what I wanted. I just wanted you to tell me I was pretty. Just tell me I'm pretty.
Can you just say that?
And just say it. Just fucking say what you want, man. Because we've been so trained and then we get like angry when we don't get the thing that we thought we very clearly were asking for, but we didn't clearly ask for it. We didn't say like, do you know what I want? I just want you to be like sweet to me and be like, you're doing the best ever and you're so pretty while you're doing it.
It's like, did you ever watch the movie Far and Away when you were a kid? That's
I loved Far and Away. Why?
Tom
What
Cruise,
happened in Far
Nicole
and Away, though? I
Kidman.
don't remember.
But when Tom Cruise flips out on Nicole Kidman in his like his accent, and he's like, "Can't you say you like my hat, Shannon? Can't you say you like my shirt?" That's the movie quote that sticks with me more than anything.
But like no man has ever been afraid to say, can't you say you like my hat? Can't you say you like my shirt? And every woman ever has been like preening and like doing a bunch of like subterfuge when in actuality all they want is for their partner to be like, you're really pretty.
Yeah.
I really like that hat on you. And by the way, I just want to go on record. I hate hats on everybody. Just FYI. Like I think hats
Do you hate hats on everybody?
Yeah, I think hats are so lame.
You
Like
do?
hats, like fashion hats.
Wow. Interesting.
I like a baseball hat. I'm like okay with a baseball hat. Like I'm fine with a baseball hat.
Have
I'm
you
just saying,
always
like,
felt this way about hats?
I'm emphatically against hats. Yeah. A hat to
Interesting.
me most of the time equal assholes.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And possibly it's because I've never felt at home in a hat. I've tried.
Yeah.
But hats are not. It's an attention grabbing accessory. You know what I mean? And like it's a real look at me. And especially men who wear big brimmed hats are definitely sending a message about what they're all about. And I'm like, I don't care. I actually don't want it. I don't want you to telegraph that to me. I want to find out that you're quirky. I want to find out that you know how to like whittle wood or whatever the fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't telegraph it with your fucking hat is all I'm saying. I don't want to immediately know that you have a Rhodesian Ridgeback. You know what I mean?
Wow. This is the hottest take you've delivered in years.
Honey, this Sancerre's hit and let me just say, those 4 weeks off allowed me to reset.
My friend Emily, who
Not
lives,
my friend Emily.
Not your friend Emily, my friend Emily.
Because my friend Emily was just here and then she left. I'm sad.
And she had to leave.
Because I was really sad yesterday.
Aww.
Maybe yesterday or the day before. And I texted her, I'm really sad. And then she was like, do you want me to leave work and come over? And I was like, yes. And she did. And then it reminded me of the good old days.
Of course. It's like the good old days with Emily Beebe. This is my friend Emily from Minnesota. She one time texted me an Amazon review of a hat, like the kind of hat that you're describing. And
wide brim fashion hat?
Yeah, a wide brim fashion hat. And it was a review by a man talking about how amazing he looked in this hat and how it was such a great hat and how he wore it to church. And then the next line was, of course, there were haters.
Not, of course, there were haters. No. No.
So she made me a tote bag. We laughed so hard at the line, of course, there were haters for years. And she made me a tote bag that said, of course.
Can we make merch that says, of course, comma, there were haters? I need, of course, there were haters literally on everything. I want it on a mug. Of course. There were haters. Of course. Of course, there were haters. Of course, comma, there were haters.
You would love Emily. She's a really good gift giver too. And she's really highly into customization. So I still have my, of course, there were haters tote bag. And it makes me laugh so hard every time. But that
honestly, it's iconic.
You would have been a hater of that guy's hat. You would have been one of the haters at church.
I would have been one of the fucking haters.
Well, guys, we have to let Busy finish her Sincere.
I mean, it's too late. The ship sailed for me, guys. But
and get her hands on a burger.
You know what? So I got the funniest call today from Sophia.
What?
She's like, oh, no, wait, I can't talk about it. Never mind. The Sincere almost got me, guys. Almost got me. Almost told secrets.
Well, Biz, next time we do the podcast, I'll be in New York with you.
What? That's right. Oh my God, we're doing that show again.
It's coming. It's like
so I have to fill you in because I did an amazing panel with the CEO of Curate.
Yes, we talked a little bit about it last week.
But he was just the most delightful. I adored our panel together, and I thought he was so cool.
Aww.
And his wife is part owner of the WNBA team in Chicago.
Amazing.
And he was just rad, and we had a lot in common. And also, I felt very positive about getting another season.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Truly.
But yeah, I'm coming very soon. I'll be there very soon. And then
I can't wait.
We'll be together again.
Thank God.
And then we'll be making new episodes of the QVC show, which I hope you'll all watch.
Guys, you're going to watch it, right?
Yes, they will watch it. Guys, we love you.
We love you. And you know what? This week, I hope that we all do our best at being specific in what it is that we want and need from the people around us in a way that is kind, but also true.
Yeah.
And gentle,
yeah.
But also firm and also specific.
See what happens. Let us know what happens.
Also, my Botox literally just kicked in because I cannot wrinkle my eyebrows. Look, I'm doing it.
Looks good.
I know it does. Okay, guys, we love you. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh, no.